Recording. Well, welcome to Tech Time Holiday Cards. This is a pretty easy kind of recap of some of the tools that we've used in the past. So taking an image, kind of color correcting it, making it maybe look a little more festive or something. Learning a new tool kind of called Vignette, which is actually, the tool is a mask, but it's an oval mask with some faded edges. You do it in black a lot, but for holiday cards we'll do it in white. And then we'll just add some text, and we'll add some Photoshop effects to this text, and then we'll end up with a great holiday card. Got a little vinyl here to kind of show you. Kind of go from one awkward family photo to something that's presentable to anyone in the family.
You're playing it safe this week, huh?
What's that? Oh yeah, playing it safe, yeah. Festivus for the rest of us. All right. Well, kind of to start this one up, you're just in time to start it. We can pick a new awkward family photo. We don't have to use this one. So I kind of pulled up something on the awkward family photos in Google.
Wow.
So if we see anything that looks impressive.
There was one that was adorable. It was this man holding his newborn son, and it was beautifully set up, and you see this little heart
The golden rain.
Like, oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I see
Yeah,
that
I don't
one.
know what people think sometimes.
Well, that was probably bad timing.
Yeah.
The curtains. The curtains are
I
good.
don't know.
There you go.
Yeah, let's do that.
You want to do the curtains?
Yeah.
Okay, that'd be a good one.
1970s.
Yeah.
Copy that image. Go into Photoshop. And I'll probably just start a whole new file for this one.
Oh man.
It's new, clipboard settings, create, and paste. All right, so there's a photo. Might need a little color correction. Actually,
Yeah.
not. It actually
Leave the curtains match. Isn't it?
I know,
That's the point.
Oh,
it's kind of like I've got the dress and the curtains and the tree.
Yeah, it's
all
like
matching.
she got a good deal on the fabric.
$3, all you could take. Huh? Just wind it up. I was gonna say actually the color correction. Maybe take a little bit of the purple color out because it's a little bit off. But for the 70s, it's kind of like it's almost one of those Instagram filters. But once again, we'll kind of just show it's like a layer or adjustment layer. And
Is
I
the picture better for the
oh no,
correct?
any pictures fine. And actually, sometimes it's good to see hard pictures because you can see kind of how you deal with something that's hard. And I think probably the hue and the saturation is kind of most messed up with this. You kind of just kind of learn whether it's value or curves and kind of just guess. It could be curves too.
What's the purple you're talking about? Just
Kind of like their faces are a little bit kind of
Okay,
reddish
okay.
and purple.
All right.
So try to give them a little bit more natural skin tone.
The little girl that looks like she's got white stuff.
A little shine, yeah. So we'll pick probably the person who you think should have the best skin and kind of like another skin area where you think it should be the most normal color. We'll just take the person in the middle, maybe off her chin. We'll see if we can kind of get that a little bit away from the purple.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Now we're right in the middle of purple.
Like I said, and you could spend a long time trying to do it, but sure. Sometimes with this giant cursor, it's hard to click it's the tip of the black. And I don't know, maybe it's better, maybe it's not. You kind of see, it was like that, now it's like this.
Oh, it's much better.
Nah,
Yeah,
it was an interesting time anyways, so
that's better.
probably could bump up the contrast on it too, so it's not all so yellow. But we will call that done. So we've done some color correcting on it. One of the other challenges I was going to say this picture is going to have is because their heads get so close to the corners, if we do some like oval vignetting, these people's heads might get kind of washed out. But we'll give it a try. We'll see what happens. Who knows?
We'll just focus on the bride.
Focus on the bride. Focus on her, not the curtains. And the way I like to do vignetting is I make a new layer, typically you do a vignette as black because it kind of fades out to black and it kind of focuses on what you want the picture to be. But because it's a holiday card, it's like the one time you get to do like vignette in white. So you could do all the same stuff, but fill the layer with black instead of white. So brand new layer, layer 2. We'll go edit, fill, white. Oh, it's missing. Now I'll take the select tool and change it to the ellipse tool, which is another tool you hardly ever use, but it works for this. And a lot of times I'll start in the corner, but I've learned that maybe not so much in the corner. And I'll just kind of like that, make a nice oval. And then I'm going to feather the edges so it kind of has that little blur feather line effect to it. And that is kind of in here in the select tool. Select, modify. Probably should have wrote this one out. And feather. But I do use this one a good bit to feather the edge so you don't get that hard line. Because right now if we cut it out, it would be a black and white chop. Like that would be just a hole punched straight through. But if we feather it, and
So it's feathering the selection, the border.
exactly.
On both sides?
On both sides, pretty much. Right now it's set at 50, which would be 25 pixels on one side, 25 pixels on the other.
Okay.
This is a very high resolution image, so I'm probably going to bump it even higher to like 100. You don't see any change, but when I do the mask now, kind of back down here at the little mask tool, it should just punch it out. And of course, backwards. So hold down Option and hit the mask tool. And there's kind of how I did the little soft vignette thing. Like I said, I knew their heads would get a little chopped off there. Kind of try to focus on there. And what also this kind of does is the very tops and the bottoms. I don't like that real hard edge. So what I'll do a lot of times too is when the mask is selected, I'll go to the brush tool and share my flow. Yeah, ginormous brush. And just the curly brace, like to the left is smaller, to the right is bigger. So I can take that down smaller. And I will paint with black. Oh, I got the wrong brush selected. Brushes, window, brushes. And I'll just pick like one of these soft brushes here. So it's just like you can kind of see a little preview of it. It's just like a little wispy brush. A little too small, so I'll make it a little bigger. And why is it? Switch color, paint white. Wait a minute. This part that should be edited. It somehow does not want to work exactly right. I should be painting on the mask. Maybe, oh, I know. Probably the softness is just not quite soft enough. And that's kind of like the fade that the brush has. It should be nice and faded. I just don't know why. Make the brush really big and basically paint out here. Just let that fade just kind of start getting down. Oh, is it going to start? That is. And I do that just to kind of take that top edge off. I'll do it to the bottom too. And what that does is when you go to print it on paper, you won't have any hard edges. You can do it over here on the side too. It'll just blend like right into the white paper. It's not really a big deal. Like I said, the picture would have been a little better. I feel weird. I feel like that's hopefully not a very important person in the family. So that's kind of how you do a vignette. And of course, yes, sometimes it's better to take a picture that has a lot of like superfluous stuff around the edges, or if you just really want to focus in on the person who's right in the middle. Right. So that gets the second stage. Now, third stage is we'll just put some text on there and we'll be good to go. So anytime you go to the text tool, it automatically makes a new layer. So we'll go to the text tool. Cubano is a good font. And we're typing in white, so we're not going to see it all that well, but we can go happy. Like, I don't know, we could do Festivus. And I'll make it a little bigger. And anytime you want to select the text to actually change like the color or change what the text is, you could double click over here in the layers on the little T, and it just select the little select all. Otherwise, it selects the layer, and sometimes you want the text selected. Just easier to go to the layer palette. We change the color, which is nice because we could grab something from like the eyedropper tool. We can make it like the same color as like their ribbons. Just kinda, sometimes if it's too samey, you don't see it, but try to pick some color like out of the. Or maybe we want the green. Because too much of the orange on top of the orange is like. If I can find a decent green.
I don't think you could.
A decent color in there is tough, huh?
Decent colors in that picture.
All right. But at least we know it's kind of in the same key as the rest of the photo, maybe. I don't know. It's the scariest thing I've seen in a long time. All right. Well, that's kind of one start. And then we could start adding some effects. And this is where people really like, Judy would probably not like. We're kind of distorting fonts. We'll add some, like maybe a drop shadow or some like snow around it. But the big thing is we're going to warp the text now, which is nice and festive looking, but people who like fonts don't like you to warp text. And that's right in the text tool. It's even a tool called warp text. And the one I tend to like to do, I think, did I do arch last time? I believe I did. And you could arch it down, because I think this photo would be better have the, the text on the bottom. Move tool. Make it a little bigger. And there's pretty close. And then yeah, final thing is since you got layers, you go down here to like some layers effects tab. And if you go up to the very top one, it brings up all of the effects you can put on it. And most of them have a preview. So when you move this out of the way, you got the little preview selected right there. What I was kind of noticing works well is, I think it was like outer glow worked really well. It kind of gave it a little like snowy effect around it. Kind of made it stand out a little bit. That's all I think I did to that text. If you wanted to put a drop shadow on it, you could, but sometimes you get too many effects going on. It starts to look really kind of crazy. It starts to make the text look way more important than the picture behind it, but for this example, we'll leave it.
That's a good thing in this
There
example.
you go.
She probably got divorced. Those are her sisters, so that's why we're getting that.
One last little thing I was going to maybe show too, like a little for no extra charge kind of one, is if you make a new layer, and this is why the brush was set on the snow brush. So I've got a brand new layer. I'm going to set the color here to white, so I got white going on. I'll go to the brush tool and my brush palette, and I think I've got a snowy looking brush, maybe this one. And we'll close that. Oh, close you. And we'll zoom out again a little bit, just so you could just kind of put some little snow in on top of everything. And sometimes it's nice, you get brushes that are like real snowflakes and stuff. And we'll go over the words. There's snow all over the words. And that is kind of how you make a holiday card.
Very festivus.
Very Festivus, huh? Yeah, that's, I guess, the traditional costumes for Festivus. Magic curtains, baby. Maybe we started a new trend.
Maybe is that little the crown of like candles? Was it? That's the Swedish. Is that Swedish?
Oh yeah, is it? Well, the candles. I know like the maypole thing, the flowers and stuff. The wreaths. I'm sure somebody wears a wreath of candles, which is very, very dangerous.